Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Walking Dead Support Group, episode 4 of this season for us. We are going to try and get through this one because there was a couple of different things that occurred that we're going to talk to you about as we go live between Facebook and Twitter. But as always, to my left, I have Jason McCarthy. To my right, I have Keith O'Brien. I am your middle host, Alex Mann. And thank you for joining us. As we always start with every episode of our show after the intros, Keith, with our kill count.
Kill count. Tonight's kill count was 11. That's it.
Well, that was quick and back now to me, I guess.
11. I mean, there was a moment there when they said don't kill them, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that later.
Jason, why don't you update us on some of our new Twitter and Facebook issues going on and tell us, who do we got? Who's that?
New on Twitter tonight, we have Amber, Kenneth Snyder, Rochelle, Jerry, Kelkel, Daryl Rightnut, and also Tawny Catane, who was in Rhode Island this weekend.
Yes, hi, Tawny. Thank you.
And next week, we hope to have some pics from Carol, Beth, and Cynthia, who were at the Walker Stalker Con this weekend, and hopefully also a live video chat with Cynthia, who was able to hopefully speak with some of the members of the cast.
Oh, she definitely did. Those who follow her on Twitter, she was posting up. She's got great pictures. Ones that'll make a whole lot of other women jealous because she's got Lincoln to the left and Rita's to the right, and they're both like taking bites out of her.
Photo.
So
Nice photo.
I was like, well, that's gonna send a few people over the edge.
Is this like left and right Twix?
I don't want to know.
I'm just curious.
I don't want to know.
I just noticed this. I've been looking
okay,
at this.
how about this?
I've been looking at this for half an hour.
Daryl Rightnut.
Daryl Rightnut.
If you get on our Twitter feed, look for Keith Ump. And could you please tell him if this is in regards to left and right, similar to the Twix situation. All right, so we'll get right into tonight's episode. It was called Indifference. AMC billed it as the group faces a new enemy. Rick and the others must fight to protect their livelihood. And this time we saw a little bit of the camp was divided. So the first question came out of our mouth was, who's watching the gates? You've got all these people sick. We didn't see really anything inside the prison. And so we just saw a lot of the outside stuff going on. Keith, what was your take on Indifference, the title Indifference? How did it apply tonight?
I guess, just talking like that, it's like there's no concern for the prison. It's indifference. We got a group going out looking to the veterinary hospital. And we got now Carol and Rick are going on a run. But, as we watch the episode, so it's like, as you say, who's watching the prison? That was the first thing when they're driving down. I'm like, who's not sick? So we know Maggie's not sick. We know Beth's not sick. Beth's watching Judith. How many people are left to watch the prison?
Right.
Who closed the gate behind them?
And we never asked that. That's right? The perfect question.
The indifference is the producers. They just don't care. They're indifferent.
Did anyone close the gate?
Did anyone close the gate?
Wow. And now Keith is taking shots at the writing staff.
Well,
to me, the Indifference had a couple of different things. We see Carol is indifferent to what she did, and we can debate that a little bit. Rick actually seems somewhat indifferent to it, to her doing it. He's made his decision, and that's it. And he's back to the old Rick-tatorship a little bit. I'm deciding you're not good for everybody. And Carol surprisingly kind of rolled with that to me. I thought that was kind of odd. And I'm going to do a Shane. I'm just going to keep doing this for this episode. For those of you who watched the YouTube clip about Shane scratching his head.
But is she gone, though? I mean,
I don't think she's gone. I don't think she's gone. I think
she was
Daryl's not going to just let her be gone.
No.
And if Tyrese does come into some kind of awareness of that it was Carol, that's going to set up another fight between Tyrese and Daryl. And if Tyrese is beating up Daryl, we know Rick is going to jump in because nobody's allowed to hit Daryl in front of Rick.
What does that also mean for Daryl and Rick? I mean, Rick left her behind. Daryl's possibly...
And that'll be the second person that Rick has chosen to leave behind that has a connection to Daryl. One of the I think Kirk had even said it, and we had even mentioned it a little bit, is that the roles are starting to reverse a little bit. That Daryl is becoming more like what Rick was, And he's actually giving inspiring little pep talks to people on the way, like he did with Bob. So indifference doesn't seem to apply to him.
Well, I think that was a little indifference with Bob because he took the gun away from him, gave him back the bottle, and said something like, take a drink, whatever.
Right. But I mean, but Bob brought that indifference upon him, whereas he was developing his kind of leadership skills and how to kind of guide people along. Jason, what do you got for indifference in the title tonight?
I saw it more as an overall indifference. Is people have a switch and they have to turn it off. The insanity would just rise if you weren't able to separate out the emotion that you have to deal with making these decisions, especially the type of decision that Carol felt she made for the best reasons. What is she going to deal with if emotionally she can't detach herself? Same thing with Beth. She's not feeling any emotion towards anybody.
Right.
Maybe the baby, but that could be it.
Well, Carol, I mean, the biggest surprise we had with Carol tonight, among everything else, was when Lizzie called her mom.
Mom. Yeah.
Don't call me mom. I mean, you can kind of see Carol's now got her wall up, and she understands. So we've got some time. Let's talk about the legitimacy of the argument between what Carol did in her position and Rick's decision. So I thought Carol made a very solid argument about what they're at. I think Rick is not understanding you're still in this apocalyptic situation where you're going to have to make some of these decisions. He didn't have to kill Lori. He had to kill Shane, but Shane was going to kill him. Rick justifies the living that he kills, but nobody else is really allowed to have a justifiable killing of the living. It's like even one of his 3 questions is, what is your justifiable reason for killing somebody? So it's almost like you get 1 or 2 free kills of the living, maybe. But if Rick sees some potential value in that, I mean, they were legitimately sick. It was a large-scale surgery of cancer almost. Those 2 were sick. She tried to nip it in the bud. And you know what? What if she was right? What if Patrick was patient 0? Those are the only 2 he infected. Everybody else was dead in that attack. What if she was right? And now she's nipped that virus in the bud. And we had even discussed in the room, you're a believer that why should you have the really sick mixed with the partially sick or the getting sick? I think Carol made a solid argument. Jay, what do you think?
I think that on the flip side of that, Rick made a solid argument. They could have lived. It wouldn't be the first people in the world to get over the flu. You know what I mean? Just because it looked debilitating doesn't mean that it's not something that they're going to pull out of.
Right.
And if they did pull out of it, they would have been fine. But she took it upon herself to end their suffering and to possibly kill off the flu. But, obviously we know it didn't work.
Right.
She didn't kill it off. But where does that...
But we also don't know if they were going to live or die.
Right.
So you're right. They could have lived, but they also could have died. And if they died, now they're not only carrying the flu, but they're also walkers. Right. Keith, where are you at with Carol and Rick's moral dilemma?
Well, you got Rick asking us 3 questions, and he's killed the living, and he's asking people these questions, and it's like, is that part of his indifference? Why does it right for him, but it's not right for Carol?
Right.
Is it because he killed people that were a threat? He killed. It wasn't really self-defense.
But Carol can claim self-defense.
It was self-defense in the bar room when he killed those 2 people. Mm-hmm. But where does he? How come it's his 3 questions? And how many walkers have you killed? Or what do we got? Skin eaters. And how many people have you killed? He's killed people.
Right.
And I'm sure it seems though that he's obviously killed people before this all started.
You think?
I think so. Yeah. I think he's killed somebody, maybe in the line of duty, but I think he's killed somebody. But my question is, so he's asking these 2 people, Pebbles and Bam Bam from Alex, he's obviously going to ask 3 questions. How many people have you killed?
Sam and Anna, right?
Sam and Anna.
Yep.
But in the same token, Carol's right there, and he's been dealing with this, Carol situation, shall we call it? So now he gets to ask Carol that question. How many people have you killed?
I think Rick
She's
looks
killed
at
too.
it. Yeah. I think Rick looks at it as any other cop would, but he has to also be the judge. in his mind. If you were to bring that case before court, self-defense, he was justifiable in all of his human killings.
Right.
Whereas Carol's would never hold up in court. Oh,
That's true.
You know what, though? I mean, Rick's only holds up in court mostly because he was a cop. And cops can, and listen, it's how you write the report. And you get the luxury of having the public perception of the law enforcement person. And the thing is, at this point, Rick has made decisions. This was going to happen, so I acted swiftly. He's not accepting Carol's decision, and you know, he really doesn't have the right to vote out a council member. And if we go back to the origins of democracy, and by the way, I'm finally happy we have some kind of real storyline that we can delve into, that we can rip apart and kind of get into this, because if there is some sort of democracy or government starting to develop here, the council, you can't just have one of your military wing or your armed forces saying, no, that leader's out, I don't like what their decision was. You can't.
But most of the council is now either missing, because Carol will be missing.
Herschel's
sick.
Define missing.
Yeah, missing. Well,
right.
I don't know what he's going to say when he gets. What is he going to say when he gets back?
You can't just say that. Oh, that's what we're going to do.
You can't say.
And that's where I was kind of like, all right, this is where it's starting to get a little bit good. So one of the spoilers was that Carol gets left behind. Carol wasn't really left behind. I think Carol kind of, you got to go, and she said fine. And you know, Rick's point about her being able to survive out there now and finding other people, I think absolutely that was probably the truest statement I've seen out of any of these. But she definitely can survive out there.
She can survive, but everybody that interacts with them doesn't.
Well, you know,
I mean, there's another group.
That's the privilege. You know, it's plot armor, as Chris likes to say.
Right.
They have plot armor.
You know, it's for our entertainment factor. It's still a TV show, but you know, everybody that comes to our little group ends up missing, dead, red shirt, whatever we want to label them.
Right.
You know, so now Carol's going to become another group's new person. Are they going to let her in? You know, what is she going to bring to their group? What is that person's? Is the leader of that group going to have 4 questions? You know, but I don't think she's gone for good. She's got a car and she'll be back. It's obvious. She said, like she said, I'm not leaving without Lizzie. And
I think it'll be interesting to kind of, as we go forward, we've got some titles of upcoming episodes that we can kind of go through and talk a little bit about it. We didn't really say anything else more about the plague, except for one little hint from Bob tonight about the difference between walkers and walkers bleeding out their eyes. He was implying that they're the ones infected with the flu versus ones not infected with the flu, and that's why he didn't want to get their blood and stuff on them. And that was an interesting twist. So now if the walker has the flu, that's a little bizarre.
Yes.
You know, so I mean that's almost like a pigeon or another bird carrying that flu around. You know, that's another delivery to the flu.
Right, but they don't know where the flu came from. They don't know how to kill the flu, but now they're experts on the flu.
Well, first of all, he's a medic. And I'm going to go on a limb and probably say he was a military medic.
Yeah.
And so. Does he maybe have an inkling to how to protect yourself in a virus? And on top of that, he made a preemptive decision on something, unlike everyone else who, we're going to pick tomatoes. Don't watch my back.
Yeah.
Help me pick tomatoes. We're going to put everybody in the sick wing. Don't lock any doors.
Yes.
That one's really sick. Don't close the door.
Close the door.
He made a decision based off of his medical knowledge, saying, listen, there is a clear reason why they're bleeding for some reason. Right. Patrick had the flu. He was bleeding out the eyes. They must be some sort of delivery system for that flu, whatever it is.
How about flu shots?
You know what? I would hate to say if they do that, they've totally jumped the shark.
Yeah.
You know, if all of a sudden everyone gets inoculated. Only because looking at some of the titles coming up, I think it'll be interesting to see how those storylines develop just based off the titles.
Especially episode 7.
So another one was we did see a little bit of the prison where Carol was talking to Lizzie inside the sick ward. She really thinks that kid's getting out. I don't think so. And she again, as you said, she's thinking that they're normal and they're people and that there's something to them. There is no soul in these things anymore.
She's still holding a little torch for that the walkers are. There's something left in them, something good in them.
Like she must have talked to Herschel.
Yeah, something like that.
That's exactly how he was.
She needs to go talk to Carl. Carl straighten her out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. But that's why I think Carol's role has
been like
become so pivotal that she is very blunt and honest about it. She is a calm, rational, somewhat humane version of what Shane was. Shane was going to survive in this apocalypse because he was willing to do what needed to be done. And if he thought you had to die, you had to go. There was no questions.
Yeah.
Carol is willing to act on that, and she's willing to take care of the living if they show signs of being healthy. For instance, Bam Bam, also known as Sam, but she fixed his arm,
Yeah.
right? And she said, okay, that's needed to be done. They look okay. She said, fine, go out and go find us stuff. I still think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
I think Rick's trepidation about not sending them out was also justifiable. But you're in the worst case scenario. She said she can go. They survived this long, and we got an indication tonight how long this has been going on. Medication. This is expired by a year. So say medication's good for a year itself. So we're probably around the 2-year mark, plus the overgrowth of the garage. So that was certainly a little bit of an interesting thing there. What was your favorite kill, Jay, tonight?
Tyrese and Hammer Time.
It's going to be every week. It's going to be every week.
I know.
Yeah, he's going to have probably at least one kill like that every week, but definitely my favorite. I love Michonne.
Okay, Vinny, you can't have 3 favorite lines of the night, just so you know. Thank you. You get one. Favorite line of the night
It's
is...
such a joy having Vinny.
Keith, what was your favorite kill of the night?
My favorite kill of life was the kill of the night. Sorry, was the lady of the house, and obviously she can't handle the stairs, or she got pushed. Little domestic violence, zombie kill, and then Carol killed her with the knife. Yeah. Carol killed her. Put her out of misery.
I'm going with my favorite kill was the double header from Michonne.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Michelle's somebody. I want to say it was Kirk said he was going to bet Tyrese had the biggest kill count tonight. It was after the last one. I said, "There's no way he's not going to get that many." I figured it was going to be Michonne, so I kind of feel like she probably had the most. And again, she just proves how much better a katana is over a hammer,
Well,
and a gun, and
He had the machete with the hook too, because that's what got him into trouble.
Right.
In the shrubbery.
And you know what? Michonne's character is she's gotten very philosophical, and she made a very good point a couple of times with Tyrese, like, you've got to get out of this. You need to get get back into what we're doing here. You need to live. And he goes, what's the matter? She goes, I don't want to see you die.
Focus.
She's seen enough people die. And that's why, one of the things I was hoping was that we're going to see more of Michonne kind of develop, which I think is fantastic.
Because she was by herself for so long, and now she's getting attached to this group. Like we alluded
Same thing with Daryl.
Same thing with Daryl. Like we alluded to the fact that, when she was holding Judith, we said, oh, she's lost a baby, or she just doesn't want to be attached to the baby, and now she's kind of attached herself to Daryl, kind of attached herself to Tyrese. She doesn't want to see people die. She's done. Seems like she's done with people getting killed.
Right. She knows people are going to die, and Carol knows people are going to die, and she's trying to keep people alive as long as possible. Literally her best friend, who got her into this safety net of other people, she had to put the bullet into with last season with Andrea. Yep. So it's one of those things where they're starting to bring the loners seem to appreciate the group better,
right,
than the group does. So do we have a best new character? I think we could say Sam, we could say Anna.
Yeah,
had a little Sean Penn in him.
I thought he looked like an illegitimate Baldwin child.
Yeah,
illegitimate Baldwin child. That's good. Yeah, Baldwin child. Sean
he almost looked like Billy Baldwin. Maybe had like a stepson somewhere.
What about favorite kill? Second favorite kill. Because we're it's close to our heart. Was the 7-Eleven guy. Just for you, Vinny. Yeah. Ice pick to the head. Right? 7-Eleven.
So tonight we actually have a few extras helping us out. Potential standards.
Poor guy's been stuck there for a year and a half.
Yep. Under that desk.
Under that desk or under that countertop or whatever.
What happened to the drink radiator fluid?
It's probably one of those.
And
it's probably one of those trapdoor
how bad
counters
is that?
or something, and it fell apart.
You think, and you know what? The stigma of suicide is one thing. Obviously, Daryl seems to think it's a bad thing to do, but you think the world's coming to an end. You don't have the luxury of knowing that, okay, when I die, I'm going to become a walker.
Yeah. People didn't know
you don't have that instinctive, I need to keep living because I don't want to be that.
Yeah, because he talked about that because he said it looked like it was puke and they showed that antifreeze. So people drank antifreeze to kill themselves.
Right.
And they don't realize that they're going to become walkers.
Right.
You skip death and go straight to the afterlife.
Yeah.
Right. There is no in between there. So are we going to go with the best new character? Because you know what? He's not the best, but I think so far the best one we've gotten is Bob. We see his dilemma with alcohol. We see
storyline. Yeah,
he can make a good decision, but now he's found the bottle. And you know what? I mean, everyone's got to know somebody who struggles with an alcohol addiction. This could very well turn into a decent storyline. I think it'll end up being his downfall. I don't think he's going to be a character that survives. In some of the research done by the ED, he said in an interview, Bob, the guy who plays Bob, said you can't trust him. He's just not going to be a character you can trust.
You just can't trust him. And it's like, we talk about how Rick has left two people that are attached to Daryl behind. He's left Carol, he left Merle on the roof, left Carol behind. They're on that, decking, and it's like he was ready to toss him.
Yeah.
And he can't?
Why not?
I mean, has Daryl killed, as we go to the three questions, has he killed anybody yet?
I don't think he's killed a living.
I don't think
unless
he's killed
somebody
a
in Woodbury.
Maybe
it's
somebody in Woodbury. We could count somebody in Woodbury.
Because that,
but
you
it's
just couldn't keep track of that.
He just doesn't want anything to do with them because they had that little talk about, he said you should have just kept walking. And I think he was ready to throw him off that roof into the little, clan of walkers that was underneath him. But instead, he takes his gun, gives him his...
Well, why not just kind of push him over the edge? I think he was probably going to be somewhat justified, but I think that's where you're starting to see that development of his character saying, you know what, I'm not like my brother. I'm not just a random killer. I'm not like Rick. And plus, when he fixed that car, I mean, how many women all of a sudden said, if I see a mechanic that looks anything like him, I don't know what's wrong. The car won't start. Put the key in it.
It's the green wire and the red wire, whatever it was, red and blue.
He's hot wiring a car. Totally expected that.
Yeah.
That I can live with. A hillbilly who's got a questionable past. Sure, hot wiring a car, not a problem.
Not a problem.
And that was good.
Let me run a quick question by you guys. Do you think if that other crew, Michonne, Daryl, and Tyrese, and Bob weren't out, do you think Rick gets away with leaving Carol?
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's getting away.
Do you mean leaving the
prison?
prison?
Do you think it ever happens? Yeah.
Probably not. I don't understand how he's going to explain it when he gets back.
Yeah.
He will tell it matter of fact, as in, if I brought her back, she was going to kill others that she decided had to die. And I think what you'll see is an interesting triangle of anger here.
Yeah.
Tyrese will be mad because Rick solved the murder, and Tyrese can't get his justice. Daryl's going to be mad because he left Carol. Rick's going to be mad because I made my decision and I did what I had to do to protect. And he basically is protecting Carl and Judith. He's not protecting the group. He's worried if they got the sniffles, Carol's going to knife him. You know what I mean?
And then when she comes back at some point, that's going to start all new fires between Tyrese, Daryl.
Right. That's why this is going to be, I think that's where we'll start to see some pretty good fireworks that I've been really dying for to kind of delve into the storylines a little bit. It's just taking a long time. So as we go into the next few episodes, I'm just going to, we don't normally do this, but there's an interesting titles coming up. And also the I beginning titles are going to come to an end, thank God. Because everything's been,
I like it. Sorry.
Oh, there's days. So the next episode.
It's a shame too, because you have to work.
I know.
We're going to bed, and Alex is working at 8 hours shift. So
the next episode is going to be intermittent. And then and that's going to be Pressure Rick and the group. And the survivors in the prison are potentially going to reach a breaking point. But we know as we look through, and if you're not sure how to find this out, go into IMDb and you can kind of search ahead. AMC's keeping this stuff really close to the vest. Episode 7 is going to be called Dead Weight. I'm sorry, I skipped 6. 6 is going to be Live Bait. So that'll be interesting. It's got to be one of the group.
Probably
Dead Weight will be episode 7. And that's the really interesting one because it tells us how long we have to expect them to be in the prison. It is it's billed as something new unfolds at a camp outside the prison, and the addition of new members may threaten peace. So we've seen a couple of new faces being billed as coming in. We just don't know when. So obviously, it's probably going to be around maybe 7 with dead weight of new people coming in. But episode 8 is going to be called Too Far Gone. There is no info on that other than the title. But as of December 1st, there is going to be a marathon, and this is listed on the AMC schedule, starting at 2 p.m. from episode 1 all the way up. But episode 8 is not listed. So I think the break is going to happen before 8. And that 8th week will be the marathon. So we're not really sure, but everything else had a date and time scheduled, and then on that 8th week, it's the marathon. So we've got some storylines coming up that by the titles should be interesting, and if they break before the 8th episode, I think we're all going to freak out. So line of the night. This is another topic that we like to have. Jay, why don't you start us off?
I thought Bob said it best. Everybody makes it, till they don't.
That was a good line. Another reason why we can like Bob.
I just want to like Bob.
Keith?
I got anger makes you stupid, and stupid gets you killed from Michonne.
Very good one.
Oh, all right. So Vinny had his favorite kill, which was good since he's here and he's hitting us up. Death by the men's room screwdriver.
7-Eleven.
That was great.
7-Eleven.
Back to the 7-Eleven reference. And he had 3 different lines of the night, so I'm only going to go with one of them. Oh, wait, there's 4 in there now. If you put on 4, I'll kill you. We'll go with... yes, thank you for the hand signals, and it wasn't a middle finger for once. Here, catch.
You look like a third base coach.
Or don't. And Allie Brandon, who's on our Facebook page, said, I like the pancake comment. I don't remember exactly how it went, but there was a pancake comment.
Yeah, it was. Rick was talking about how, he still expects someone he'll wake up and Lori will be there and say, pick up Carl after school or go do this. And she wanted us to be a pancake on Sundays family. And maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't know. He made it sound like they don't have pancakes on Sunday, and they certainly don't have pancakes now on Sunday. So
when I met Lori Holden at the Comic-Con, I told her, I said, now I got to find a new favorite character, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because I really thought she had the best plot line. So now I think it's going to be Michonne. I think Michonne's got a tough side, a sensitive side. I think if I was in the zombie apocalypse, I would want to be on Michonne's side. And not on her bad side. So tonight she said, anger makes you stupid. And that's absolutely factually correct. Tyrese is acting stupid. Yep. He's acting like he has a death wish. And, it's almost like he's written off his sister who's sick. And instead of going and finding medicine and hoping against all hope, it's like, I just now want to die, and I'll do whatever it takes, and I'll foolishly throw myself into situations like sitting in the car and everything else. He is acting stupid, and so that was probably the best statement she could have said. Mm-hmm. She could have gotten deeper and philosophical, like Herschel or I can't remember his name right now, with the hat and the RV from the first 2 seasons.
Dale.
Like Dale. Dale would wax and wane all along about how he just knew everything, and you should follow my sociology class teachings. So that drove me nuts. So at the beginning of this episode,
I don't miss Dale.
I don't miss Dale either.
Just so we get that out.
I'm glad
just so we clear that
gone.
out. We don't miss Dale.
Don't bring back a Dale.
Alex misses Andrea, but we don't miss.
Totally miss Andrea. Although I'm very upset because at the StalkerCon, people were getting personal pictures of her while waiting in line, and I couldn't. And I brought a gift. And I would have paid extra. I would have made a donation. I would have done whatever it takes to get a picture of me next to Lori Holden. But everybody else in the cast is posing pictures with her, even the dead ones. I mean, just come on. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of, maybe I'm glad she's gone. Maybe I'm glad. That's for Carol and Beth. They and Paige. Those three just kill me for being in love with her. I guess I don't know. But at the beginning of this episode, Rick went all CSI. I almost wanted to hear like the Who, kind of like kick in like zombie CSI today when he reconstructed the crime scene of
He's
Carol.
having visions of Carol.
I don't think it was visions. I think it was just a visualization of the crime.
Yeah, of the crime.
Very CSI how they do it. So, any other topics you guys want to bring up before we start wrapping?
I like the welcome to hell sign.
Oh yes, we did mention that. For those of you who didn't notice it, you got to watch it again when they were coming up into the gas station. The 7-7.
Yeah, 7-7-30, 7-7-34.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So gas is
That's
$4.37.
No, $7.07.
No, whatever
yeah,
it is. It's still expensive down
It's
there.
still expensive.
But they had the numbers reversed, so it said hell, and it was like that was awesome.
That was good.
That was a little subtle thing.
That's a warning. I don't know.
Apparently, I'm indifferent according to Vinny now. He's just being hurtful in the control room. So, Keith, did you have anything else you wanted to throw in there tonight before we go into what did we learn and stuff?
No, I like the reference that they called those Pebbles and Bam Bam called them skin eaters. I'm glad that Rick asked them the 3 questions. Oh, that's all.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So, what did we learn tonight?
I learned that the dictatorship is not dead.
I actually have that down too.
Did
I have, I put down that Rick is back.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Rick is back in quotation marks.
He's fine sitting to the side, but when a decision has to be made,
Yeah. He made the decision to take Carol for a ride and leave her behind. Well, not leave her behind.
I think
he
that
gave
was
her
his
enough
intention
stuff.
the entire time. Honestly.
But the question is he totally back? Now, does he just want to go back to the farm, go back to the prison and be a farmer? As Carol said, which would have been a better line, something like, you can be a farmer, but you can't always farm, or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever she said, it'll probably be up in 2 seconds. And like we mentioned, how is he going to deal with the council? Because you got one sick, now one gone, Carol. Is he going to try and muscle his way onto the council, which is where he should have been in the first place, anyways?
No, I think it was a smart move not to have him on the council. I really do. I think he was too used to having it his way, and I think once he goes back, they're going to say, "Hey, listen, this is why you're not on the council, because you were making decisions for the body, and now we are a body. We are creating a community here." Yeah. So the only thing I really learned tonight, and I'm surprised neither one of you jumped on it, which is why I went last, because I figured one of you would, and I had backups. Walkers can't go downstairs. They can go up. They can't go out windows. They couldn't go out those windows at the campus. They can crawl through a broken car's window, but they can't go out a windowsill, which I found bizarre.
They lack the upper body strength.
But when they were at the place where Rick and Shane were, and it was like the school, and they had a
notice.
And they were coming through the walls. They were climbing over stuff to get to stuff. Now all of a sudden they couldn't climb over a small windowsill. Yeah. They broke the window out of. So I was kind of, all right, that's a little bit odd. And the one thing I have learned is, as frustrated as I get with the writers, they are going to come up with new and creative ways to call zombies something else.
Something else.
That was, and you nailed that one. That was awesome.
It might have been a poll we missed sometime.
No, I'm sure they sit around and literally come up with new names for these for how to come up with this. And you know what? One other thing, if you haven't seen it, George Romero kind of took a shot at The Walking Dead for being a soap opera version of his stuff. Shut up. I love you to death. I think you're an absolute genius. But by the way, you forgot to renew your copyright on your show, on your movie, so it's in public domain. So you've got no credibility on calling out somebody else for creating part of the genre. And that you really kind of pioneered. Once you've done it and you moved on and don't maintain your copyright, sorry, just my opinion. I know, send the hate mail here. Anyways, to wrap us up, not to the hot guy, not to the Sonic guy, this guy. But once again, thank you for watching the Walking Dead support group. I have Jason McCarthy, Keith O'Brien, I'm Alex Mann. And be sure to check us out on our website. If you could, throw up the graphic. We've got a new website right there. And it's WDSG before you, because we were the original support group. .wix.com/WDSG. That's on our Facebook page and our Twitter.
Marilyn, you got anything to add?
Yeah.
Marilyn Mans?
Nothing from Marilyn Manson. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Good night, guys. Thank you.